It seems like a bad dream. Kobe, thank you, man. Thank you for all the memories. We got a lot of good ones. And these tears that we're crying, we're gonna miss you.
The news is just devastating to everybody.
I was an all-star, you feel me? Like, it's not just like my family knows the guy.
Probably the hardest game I ever had to play. I don't know. Whew.
And it does feel like a bad dream. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Take on a devastating day as the world continues to mourn the tragic death of Kobe Bryant and the victims of the helicopter crash. And let me just say, guys, I was absolutely dreading the show today. As much as I want to honor and celebrate him, I couldn't sleep last night. I heard you say that as well, Jay, and felt sick to my stomach. So much courage and kudos to you. I know you got the call, had to come right into work, have almost been here 24 hours. Jay Williams with us, Stephen A., and Max as well. Stephen A., I want to start with you. What's your first reactions to this tragedy?
Devastation is the word that's come to mind, and I've said that on several occasions over the last 24 hours or so. And just heartbroken. Kobe Bryant obviously was an athlete that I've covered for the vast majority of my professional career, spanning a quarter century. I've covered him for the last 20 years. But ultimately, he became a friend, and he was somebody that I communicated with an awful lot. Last time we saw each other was on New Year's Eve. We were partying together in Bel Air to bring in the new year, and he was so full of life. He was happier than I'd ever seen him. He was, just looking forward to coaching his daughter even more, and was bragging about how she's going to be at UConn and how she's going to ultimately be in the WNBA. He was just loving life. He was in a very, very peaceful place, and practically euphoric about what lied ahead. About the 5 championships, the 2 NBA Finals MVPs, the 33,000 plus points, all of this other stuff, 18-time All-Star. But he was planning on having a life that was even more prosperous and more illustrious than what he had accomplished as a basketball player. And to know that on this day we're saying goodbye to him because of an absolutely tragic accident is bad enough and painful enough in and of itself. But to know that his 13-year-old daughter was with him, and she was the one that we usually saw with him. We saw his other daughters as well, Natalia and Bianca. And we get all of that, but she was that basketball player that he was talking to everybody about. When it was Jay-Z, he was like, hey, wait till you see her play.
She was going to carry the torch.
She was going to carry the torch, and she was the one saying she was going to carry the torch, not him. It's riveting to say the least. You saw LeBron James get off the plane, and you could see his emotion. You saw Carmelo Anthony there. We saw D. Wade on social media. I spoke to Shaq, who was crying. Spoke to Magic Johnson, who was crying. And, Jordan and everybody else and their tributes to him. It speaks to what we're all going through right now. Never in our wildest dreams did we believe that the brilliant savant that was Kobe Bryant, trilingual at the very least, Italian, Spanish, and English, joked to me about being able to speak German and then said he wasn't joking. And to know how brilliant he was, how accomplished he was, and to sit here today knowing that he's gone, there's nothing else I can say other than pure devastation.
I was dropping my eldest daughter off, or not dropping her, taking her to basketball practice yesterday, early afternoon, and I walk in and custodian comes up to me and says, you hear the news? No, what are you talking about? About Kobe Bryant. And my first thought was he bought the Lakers. I always thought Kobe was angling to buy the Lakers. Kobe was the kind of guy you didn't believe. You thought he was going to get that 6th and 7th championship somehow, some way. He would have the last laugh. And I always thought he was going to wind up as the owner of that team. And so that's what I was thinking. But did Kobe Bryant just... And he shows me, and it says about the helicopter crash and something about fatalities. And I was like, and I stated what I was thinking. Does this mean Kobe's? And he said, I think so. And then to find out that Gianna was on the plane with him, on the helicopter. Forget about thinking about those moments, where he must be saying, hang on, it's going to be okay. When I got to L.A. To do radio there I was there for about 6 years, and we were the home of the Lakers, and this was right at the end of their third trip to the finals. So I had many conversations with Kobe, phone calls, and I went back and now thinking back on it, I said he was always talking about his kids and about Gianna, about how competitive she was. And I went back through old texts, and sure enough, I'm not like suggesting it to myself. Half the things you would talk about with him, and I would talk about my daughter. We both had, at the time, 2 or 3 daughters. And I would talk about my daughter Esther, and he would, and even in the texts, even sometimes when, sometimes you text someone you think you're texting someone, but you wind up texting someone else because they were the last, and it's like, hey, I'm going to pick up this movie and that movie on the way home. He was such a family guy. And there was something about Kobe Bryant that was so present and alive and invincible that the idea that the sun comes up today and he's not in the world seems unreal this morning.